What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Warren. I am a banker in London and a property investor across the UK. My goal is to live free from property, so I'm looking to get to £3,000 per month from property in the next 5 years. If that is what you're into as well, if you're looking to live free from property, give me a follow and subscribe because my content is all about that. So guys, today I'm talking about, are property courses worth it or not? Now, there are an absolute ton of coaches, mentors, gurus, teachers, myself being one of them, across the internet. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere, guys. And for me personally, I own 3 properties. And I'll be honest with you guys, I have always had a side eye towards coaches and mentors and gurus when it comes to property training. My perception of them, and there are a lot of people out there, there are a lot of infamous ones who you might have watched as well. My perception of them were that they charge a ton of money. There are legit courses that cost thousands of pounds for a weekend where you sit in a class and you go through slides, you go through presentations, you have really, really charismatic, motivational speakers, but that's all they are. Some of them, not all of them. And my perception was you might as well spend those thousands of pounds on a property, on going for it, than getting a motivational speech, especially when you can get a lot of the information that they're selling you for this amount of money for free. If you read books, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, there's so many different sources. Ask other investors who are already doing it for free, okay? So that's always been my, albeit biased, take on property training. So guys, you'll be surprised to know that it was very unlike me to sign up for a property training course 277 miles away up north in Stockton-on-Tees to spend a day shadowing a guy that owns 40 properties up there. It did cost a few £100. In fact, it cost £395 to be exact. But it's very unlike me to do that. I was surprised. But as a guy that I follow closely on Instagram and on TikTok, if you don't know him, his name's Harvey Growth Properties. Now, this is not a partnership. I'm not being paid to promote him or anything like that. We don't work together. We don't do any deals together. But I really wanted to come on here and tell you that there are some training, specific types of training, I'm going to go into a bit more detail on that as we go on further in the video, that actually are very helpful. I can safely say, guys, that it was money absolutely well spent, and I know that as I progress and I go into my next deal, the return on this training is going to be tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of pounds, because I gain knowledge, I gain tips, I gained hacks, I gained skills that I wouldn't have otherwise learned on my own. I've done okay so far, guys. I've got 3 properties, including the one I live in, that are profitable. I'm doing well with them. They're in great locations. They're going to grow over time. But what I got from an investor who owns 40 and is financially free, you can't necessarily learn that just by watching YouTube, just by listening to podcasts. There is a huge difference between spending time with these people and actually watching them go around and do their thing versus reading a lot of theory in books. So let's go into the detail, all right? So I live in London. I drove up north to Stockton-on-Tees, a 6-hour drive, guys. I did stop off at a serving station. That's standard. Got myself a lovely burrito wrap, coffees, restroom and all of that, guys. A 6-song drive is a trek. But, you know, I thought it was worth it. I saw him on the Monday, actually, and I drove up on a Saturday, but basically he was doing a live and he was saying that he's going to Stockton-on-Tees anyway. If anybody wants to come along and shadow him for the day, he said that it wasn't just going to be classroom-based training slides. Here's a property that I bought here are the numbers. Great deal, right? You can do it too. Like, it wasn't none of that. He said, like, come with me to my viewings. I'm going to show you building sites. I'm going to show you properties that have finished and earning me income. I'm going to show you properties that are halfway through being refurbed by my builders. It was on the ground, practical skills. And that was the key thing, guys. So I said that training is good. And I said specific types of training. If you can shadow an investor and go around their properties, especially on site, on patch at their properties, and ask them questions, guys, that is a absolute win, okay? So stopped off at the service station, as I said, standard burrito, checked into the Hamptons at the Hilton, which was a very nice hotel up there. dirt cheap because it was up north. They had some really dodgy vegan options. I did a little cheeky Uber Eats whilst I was up there, and I said, okay, let me have something healthy whilst I'm up here. On the way up, all I've eaten were like burritos, chocolate, crisps, soft drinks, coffee to try and get my energy up for the 6-hour drive. Had a look on the app and it was basically fast food. I was like, what? But anyway, I found something, I had it, it was a vegan option. Not sure I should have did that because I had no sleep. My tummy was an absolute carnival during the night. It was a mess. So I had no sleep and I was tired the next day, but I was excited to be there. And one quick tip that I want to give you, when I got there, I actually went for a walk around the town centre. I wanted to get a feel of what type of town is this? Who are the people around? And that is key. And actually the person, Harvey, who we spent the day with, talked about this as well during his presentation. But you really, when you're going for a viewing, especially if it's in a city or a town that you don't know well, have a look at the locals, because these are the people that are going to be living in your property that you buy in that area. For me, when I was in Stockton-on-Tees, I'm not going to invest there, but if I was, I now have a good idea of the type of property that would work well on the market. It's a very working class town. People are on lower wages up there. It's not like a London or a Manchester or a Liverpool full of like bankers, legal professionals, tech guys, the arts. It's people who are working in working class tertiary sector jobs. So the type of property that I would need to offer to the market if I was to invest up there would be an affordable property, preferably for families, because there's a lot of families up there. Not so much a young demographic, it's people with kids and older people. So a house, a 2-bed, a 3-bed, not a huge demand for say 1-bed flats. And when it comes to a refurb, if that's what you were going for, if it was a property that did need a refurb, you don't necessarily have to do it up to a high spec. It has to be absolutely safe and comply with all the standards, but you don't need like marble countertops or rain head showers, right? It has to be basic and affordable for the demographic. So really key tip, really important thing to do when you go to areas that you're not that familiar with and you want to know who you're going to be renting to. So we got there at 9 a.m. and it started off with some in-class modules. So he did do a presentation. I know I down taught presentations at the beginning of this video, but this was actually very useful. Talked about his strategy, which is BRRR, buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, and what the components of that are. We actually did a live call, he did a live call to an agent and went through how you actually talk to agents. It was on loudspeaker, how you find out about a property, how you build relationships with agents so that they can, in theory, bring you deals in the future, and how you can triage whether a listing is actually a good thing to go for. So that was very useful. Among other things, we also had the chance to ask him questions. There's a little Q&A session, but really where I got the most value from a personal perspective was when we went out and about and we visited properties that he'd already purchased that were either being let out or in the process of being refurbished and turned into a property that could be put on the market and let out to people. And as I said, because of his strategy, which is BRRR, he buys properties which are tired, which need some love and care, need some TLC. And one of the exercises that we did was that we went to these properties and he gave us a template which basically had all of the criteria that we should be looking for when we go and see a property. So what state is a roof in? How are the walls looking? Does it need a new kitchen? Does it need new carpets, new windows, etc., etc.? And we went and visited a property and we went through that whole list, all those criteria, and we basically acted as if we were the investor and we said, okay, this is a property, this is what it's going to need. And he also gave us the costs of these things, so we had to cost it up. And we did that individually. I think there was about 5 or 6 of us, and we did these. We had our little clipboards. Well, it's actually on our phone. And we assessed the property and we came up with a cost at the end of how much it would cost to refurb this property and bring it to the market and pull it out to rent. We were basically the investor. And I've actually got a follow-up call with Harvey shortly for him to go through with me how accurate those were and whether I missed anything. Really good exercise to do, and you're not going to get that on most training courses that are available on the market right now. So it's really unique in that sense. And then of course there was lunch, and we went around about 3 or 4 properties during the course of the day, finished about 4, 5-ish, and I was on the road back to London, got back to London by about 10. So overall, guys, really useful day. Yes, I had to drive 6 hours, 200 plus miles up north, but I would do it all again. And I learned stuff. I had a notepad, guys, and I was just scribbling. Hey guys, I ran out of camera battery, so I'm finishing off on my phone. But yes, I had a notepad and I was scribbling, taking notes the whole time. There was so much value out of that weekend. And if I could give you a overall tip from my experience, is that it is worth it. But if you can, shadow someone. In-class training is good. But what I found really helpful was being with someone over their shoulder, like Jiminy the Cricket, just following them from house to house, project to project, and you can actually see what they do day to day. That was where I got the real value out of this whole weekend. So if you can, do the same, whether it's a formal teacher, whether it's just someone that's investing already that you know has properties. Ask them if you can just follow them around for a day, tell them that you'll buy them their coffees, you'll buy them lunch, and that kind of stuff, or you'll film them if they're on social media. So yeah, that was really good, guys. Really great weekend. Follow me. I am now on TikTok as well. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.